So we have very special guests today on the show. We have Keola Rains with us. How are you, Keola?
I'm doing awesome. Little, toasty, sunny California weather.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You are a health and wellness expert, right? But before we kind of get into that, if you wouldn't mind just giving like a brief introduction, who are you, where are you, what do you do?
Yeah. So, like you said, my name's Keola Rains. I'm in Southern California in the Los Angeles area. And I am a health and wellness coach, a lifestyle coach, any of those titles. When I come into the recovery, sobriety, alcohol-free, substance-free world, I even consider myself a hope coach. That's my passion, is encouraging people to live their best lives and make healthy lifestyle choices. So I studied kinesiology and exercise psychology. I'm a certified nutrition coach, certified personal trainer, and I love to help people realize how simple nutrition and exercise can be without overthinking it. And yeah, this is pretty much me. I'll be a mom in 6 weeks or so, 6 or 8 weeks. And I'm just really grateful to be able to take my passion and apply that into the recovery space, to be able to teach people how to use food, how to use exercise, how to use wellness to enhance and support their recovery.
Awesome. And congratulations again on your pregnancy.
Yes, thank you.
Very exciting. Yeah, so you are, like you said, you help people in the recovery process, and you yourself you don't drink. That's a part of your...
Yeah, I don't drink. I consider myself substance free. So I've gone through the whole 12-step program process January 1st of 2019, so a little over a year and a half ago. And I'm super grateful for that experience, super grateful for the people who gave their time and their experience and their strength and their hope. And that was really awesome as a good foundation for me. I've transitioned a little bit since then, especially like in the last 6 to 8 months, just with the amazing platform on social media and the world that has grown where we can recover out loud. We don't necessarily have to keep it like an anonymous secret thing in the secret society. And so for me, it's just been a really awesome opportunity to see that I can create recovery in my own way and maybe use some of the 12-step things that I learned, but also expand on those. So I don't drink, no substances. And I'm the kind of person, for me, it's a one day at a time thing for sure. I don't put restraints on myself to limit myself to say never, ever, ever again. That's what I'm choosing for my life right now. I don't plan to go back to using substances. I'm very easy on myself and give myself grace. Obviously right now while I'm pregnant, it's super easy to, to stay away from substances. But I was a bartender. I was the party girl. I had the whole college experience. I lived that world, got the DUIs, got the arrested for fighting, all that kind of stuff. And I just realized, like, this is just not working. This is not working for me. How am I living this secret life and then wake up in the morning and teaching, fitness classes and telling people to live their best lives? And I just knew that I didn't want that anymore. So again, walked into a room, got help that way, and just have seen how amazing my life is and how amazing my life could be. And also I learned so much about just who I really am. When I was drinking, I thought I had to be on all the time. And I've actually realized that I'm actually more of an introvert than I thought I was. Like, I like being alone now. And I realized I don't like, small talk, all the just like small talk you have to come up with when you're like boozing and using just to like fit into the, whatever, into the party or into the bar, whatever it is. So, yeah, it's an amazing gift. It's definitely a journey. I don't have it all figured out. I tell myself like I'm a 1.5-year-old kid who's starting and learning everything over. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, how has your life kind of improved now that you're on the other side of it? Now that you've had some time doing the alcohol-free lifestyle, what improvements have you seen in general in your life?
Oh, man. So besides like the physiological things like sleeping better and, you know, waking up feeling good and clarity and making better, healthy lifestyle choices. So even though I was coaching and I had all this information and I knew all of the things that I should be doing, I was doing the Taco Bell runs at 3 a.m., you know, all those, just the crazy stuff, missing workouts, all that kind of stuff. So now I can keep agreements with myself when it comes to the personal side of it. Just being open to apologizing to people when I do or say something that's brought to my attention, working on relationships and actually like attempting and putting the effort into having healthy family relationships, being mindful of not taking everything personal and just ready to debate every little thing every second. That, you know, when I was drinking, I was like, there's like a fire inside that I just kept pouring alcohol on top of, and that doesn't help. That just makes the fire, the anxiety, you know, the worry, all that tension and stuff, it just makes it, you know, flame up. And so without that, I'm just able to navigate. You know, it's not that life is easier. That's not it. I get to face things that I would just blow up or blow out of proportion. And so, you know, it's still the same stuff comes at you. Family stuff comes at you. Life stuff comes at you. You know, cars break down and the accident, all these things still happen, but I actually handle them and learn and grow through them versus just like, oh, forget it. You know, like I'll take care of that later, or who can I blame this on? All, you know, it's like all that stuff is dwindling away. I have a long way to go. You know, a year and a half for the third person that's at 30 days, that's like, wow. I mean, I remember being at like 5 days, 6 days, and like, how am I going to get to a year? Like, this is crazy. But then I look at the person who's 5 years, or like my dad, he's got 25 years of recovery and sobriety. So, you know, I'm excited to learn more, but it's definitely a more clear life. Not easier, it's just more clear.
Yeah, for sure. Well, no, congratulations on that. Yeah, I definitely find that with my changes I've made in my life, it's just eliminated, you know, this major evil and this major force of negativity. So just by removing that from the equation, it just makes everything better. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so moving on to talking about health and wellness. So that's a pretty, like, everyone hears that. Right. That's, you know, part of our vernacular every day. Yeah. But it's a pretty broad term. So for you, what is health and wellness?
Okay, so perfect question. And I actually will throw fitness in there too. Whenever I teach, I really want people to understand the difference between the three, right? So we're talking about like fitness, for instance. Fitness is the physical, like how strong are you? How much endurance do you have? How flexible are you? And that's also can be on a continuum. It's not a certain look, right? So even though magazines and media tries to sell us what fitness looks like, that's really not the case. It's you working on increasing your strength, increasing your flexibility. So, you know, doing stretches, doing your weight training or body weight training, increasing your endurance during doing your 30-minute cardio routine. So that's the fitness aspect, the actual physical part of it. When it comes to health, I think of it as your vitals, right? So what's your blood pressure? What is your resting heart rate? What is your cholesterol? Those things that you would usually go to your medical professional, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, all of those things to get vital information about the physiology of your body. Like, how's your body running? And then when it comes to wellness, we're putting those other two together, fitness plus health. And now we're bringing into, what is your mindset like? What is your lifestyle like? Even what are your day-to-day routines? What's your morning routine? What are your surroundings like? Like, are you taking care of, you know, keeping your desk clean and keeping your front porch swept off and little things like that? Who do you hang out with? So when you put those two together, the fitness side and the health side, and you combine them with the mindset piece, for me, that's what it means to be well. And also, that's another thing that we, in the media, it gets kind of skewed, and people think that being well, again, is like looking a certain physical way, like it has to do with weight loss or being vegan or whatever, you know, and it's really not that. It is like, how are you doing, right? And someone will say, I'm doing well, or hey, hope you're doing well, right? So wellness is like, when you think about what the whole package is looking like. How are you feeling? How's your mind? You know, are you hitting your goals? Are you making goals? That kind of stuff. So that's for me how I present it to people, to understand that they're different, and then you combine the fitness part and the health part to come to being a well person.
Yes, excellent. Yeah. And how is that how is having like a good health and wellness approach, how is that a really useful tool against addiction and kind of in the road to recovery?
Yeah, so huge. I talk a few times a month with a neurologist on my social media page. He's awesome. He's helped me really understand what addiction really is, and how it's not necessarily the substance itself or the behavior or the activity, because people can be addicted to other things besides substances, and how it's the brain looking for dopamine, right? So when you do whatever your thing is, your brain gets a huge rush of dopamine. Sometimes it's like super, super high depending on what you're doing. And when you cut that out and start your recovery process, then your body is like, hello, we need something. So finding ways to balance, not jumping into one thing that comes really common. People stop drinking, people stop, using whatever, boozing and using whatever they're doing, and they jump into the gym and they're like, yeah, now I go to the gym three times a week, and I'm there for 2 hours, and I'm doing, all these protein supplements and this and that, and they just traded one thing for the other, or they do the like adrenaline rush thing. And so for me, I teach that it's finding your balance first in early recovery, adding little things in day by day, but not going to the extreme level. So if you quit doing a drug or drinking, the first 30 days, you're going to be craving sugar. 90% of the time, you're going to be craving sugar. That is like the first thing that happens. I quit drinking and I turned into the cookie queen. I was like, wanted to eat all, just sugar, because your body metabolizes that alcohol into sugar, and then that sugar gives you the dopamine rush. So again, your body's looking for sugar. So I'll give people just little tips on how to face those cravings, but also being gentle and giving yourself grace and space. So knowing in 90 days, I want to start being committed to a healthier nutrition program, not throwing yourself into, I'm going to quit drinking, I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes, I'm going to quit doing this, I'm not hanging out with these people, and I'm becoming vegan. It's like, no, I really make an effort to be real with people. So it is important to have the goal to start making healthier choices, start being more mindful about your food, start being more mindful about what you're consuming, like on social media, who you're consuming, like the people around you. And project wellness goals and health goals and fitness goals for yourself, but to be real with yourself that you're starting to add little things in one by one. So I would say start with food. If that's going to be the easy thing for you, you're starting to just drink more water. Do that for 30 days. After you get the water thing down, start adding in more vegetables. Do that for 30 days. After you get that in, start adding in the exercise, do that part, and adding little by little, so that within 90 days, 6 months, you've slowly transitioned yourself into having a new routine. Because what I've learned, especially for myself, and then just in recovery, again, you learn in 12-step programs or any recovery program to have a routine. Try to wake up at the same time every day. Try to have that first thing you do, if it's meditation, if it's prayer, if it's reading, journaling, and then get your meal in, and really like put yourself on a schedule. But you have to be real with how that's actually going to work, because what has to come in, just real life things are going to hit you. You're not going to be able to face them the way that you used to, like it used to be like, okay, shit, this is going on. Well, let me just go to happy hour and, I'll worry about it later. Now I'm like, oh, this happened. Okay. So I got to deal with it, Yeah. So just being able to have all those coping mechanisms set up, and understanding how the healthy routine is actually going to help keep you on track and keep you away from the substance, and finding other ways to get that, to get your dopamine balance. We need it. That's what we need it's our motivation to be able to like keep going through the day. but we have to now find new ways to get it in, and having your routine is going to be a really good way to do that.
Something you said earlier reminds me of this pretty funny Twitter, a pretty funny tweet that went viral from the past. It was something to the effect of like, the person was like, yeah, so like today I ran like 5 kilometers at the gym, and then I went and I ate like a vegan meal, and then later I drank like 10 cups of coffee, and then I drank like, and then at night I had like 2 glasses of wine or something like that. And it was like, and then the ending phrase was like the line between like health and like self-destruction is like a fine line or something like that. And it went viral. Yeah.
Yeah, no, people will do somebody just posted that you can eat the kale and do the yoga and meditate, but if you're, drinking and partying after that, then what are you really doing? And we, in this world, the substance-free, alcohol-free recovery world, for us, I think the important thing is staying away from the substance. Like that's number one. That's the first thing. The next thing is, what other things can I add to my life that will fill in that gap, but without me going overboard with it? Because a lot of times, it's a personality trait that I feel like is like common in people who were abusing a substance, that we were like all or nothing. We want to do it all. We want it to be perfect. We want to overanalyze it. And we want to just go from 0 to 100. And it's like, you got to learn, you have to learn how to be easy with yourself and have the patience, but just know that if you try meditation, if you stay hydrated, if you start journaling, if you take a 30-minute walk, or whatever it is, if you stay full, that's a really big one, is using food to nourish your body so that you're not having any kind of cravings, sugar cravings, which lead to, alcohol cravings, which could lead to all, it's just like a downward spiral. One thing the neurologist, his name is Dr. Duyan, he helped me understand how important it is to avoid cravings. So because the craving leads to the desire, like you see the craving, or you have the trigger, and then you have the craving for it. So you see something, or you see someone, even that's a big one, like staying away from people who you're like, oh, I know what he's, that text from that person, and you're like, I can't answer that. I'm not even gonna answer that, because I know what they want to do, and that's not what I do anymore. I've had to block many people, many numbers, just like, you can't hit me up. But staying away from the trigger so that you can stay away from the craving, because then that's when you get into that activity, you get right back into that activity. And it's very challenging with social media. We're sold something every swipe is, every 3 swipes there's an ad, and we have to curate our feed not to see the alcohol ads if that's a trigger for you, or the girlfriends who do go to happy hour every day, or the friends who do go to Sunday brunch or Sunday fun day, and just not getting the FOMO of like, oh man, that looks fun, but that it's not fun for you in the long run. So being able to stop those triggers and know that once you learn how to balance and bring in your healthy routine, that's going to help you stay on track.
That's really interesting. I never thought of kind of like what you're talking about with cravings, how like one thing, like you can have something can trigger, I guess, just a general desire, and can trigger a craving for something that maybe is not even directly connected to it. Like you could see a picture of somebody that you used to date, and it creates a desire, and then you're going to want to go and eat a cheeseburger, right?
Yeah.
Or you're going to want to, and are you going to want to, eventually, have a drink, obviously. But those things aren't like directly connected, you would think, but they might. Am I kind of correct in what I'm trying to?
So your brain sees, or your eyes see something, or you hear something, you smell something, and then that gets you onto like the loop starts. And then, it's almost like, he uses this example, the Cinnabon, right? So in the mall, they put Cinnabon away from the food court. purposely, they put it on in a separate area away from the food court. So you're walking along and then they're blowing cinnamon, you know, scent out. So you're walking to mind your business and then you're like, oh my God, that smells so amazing. And then you see the sign and then you're like, my mouth is watering right now. Just I'm talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, ooh, and you weren't even thinking about having a Cinnabon, but you saw it and then you have the craving for it. And then the action is like, all right, well, I'm just going to get like a little mini. I'm not gonna get the big one. I'm gonna get the small one. And then you have that's your action. And then you have the reward, and the reward is the sugar rush and the taste and all of that stuff. And what we have to do is be mindful of keeping the triggers at bay, but also just even knowing that process. If you're aware of how your brain takes you through those steps, then you'll know when you see the person or you walk past, you know, you're walking past a bar or whatever it is, that you can say like, okay, I'm feeling that right now. Let me in my mind skip forward to realizing that there is no reward for me. If I start drinking, like what my body and brain thinks is a reward, it ends up in some other, it's not rewarding, you know? So just being mindful of that will help us to face those things, because we have to go out into the real world. You know, we can't, we're not going to be locked up forever. Hopefully, please. Let us out of here. But, you know, it's important. And that goes back to the wellness side, working on your brain and how your brain works, and like knowing yourself and being real with yourself. If we don't get that part down, that's what makes recovery even more challenging. If we just think like, okay, I'm gonna quit, but I'm just gonna like go back into life, like that's all, I'm just gonna quit drinking and it's gonna be nothing. For some people, for the people who were abusing a substance, I would say, I think there's definitely a difference between the sober curious person who's like, you know, I don't abuse a substance, I just realized that alcohol is not healthy for me and I just don't want to do it. Might be super easy for them because it wasn't something that they were abusing. For me, that wasn't, you know, I would hear a can opening because I used to love Lime-A-Ritas. Fucking Lime-A-Ritas. When they invented that margarita in a can, oh, that was the worst thing for me.
Me too.
So, but I noticed in the first 30 days, like opening a LaCroix or something and like being like, oh my God, like what? Like that is crazy. Like my mind was like, oh, okay, yes. And I'm like, no, this is just water. Like, you know, but I had to take the time to learn. I get to, that's another thing, like changing your vocabulary. Like I get to face that reality that that's something that in the wrong situation on the wrong day could drive me to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just have a drink, you know? So yeah, we have to be super mindful of those things.
And I think you brought up something really interesting that I've observed too. Like, I think I've observed a lot of people who have like quit drinking for a certain amount of time, whether it be a month or 6 months, right? And obviously that's a huge milestone. But after that, they don't really have like a lifestyle in place that keeps them in like a healthy space, right? They don't have like the health and wellness routine, and they don't have the mental health like tools to get to a place where they're still feeling fulfilled and just able to kind of go through life. And then they end up kind of relapsing because they you know, they win the battle of the first going sober, but then after that they don't have the tools to continue it. So I guess what I'm getting to is you've talked a little bit about routines. So what would be what does like a good health and wellness routine look like?
So it depends on what you like to do, but I say you want to have something for your physical body. If your thing is yoga, awesome. If your thing is kickboxing, cycling, running, but pick one thing that you're going to do each day for your physical body. Pick one thing that you're going to do each day for your health, which fitness is for the exercise part is for your physical body, and it's also improving on your health. But that could be something like making sure you're drinking the right amount of water, or focusing on your nutrition, making sure you're taking your vitamin that day, or if there's a medication that you're supposed to be taking, making sure you're taking that every day, something that's going to be good for your overall health. And then something that's going to be good for the mind. So that could be reading, that could be journaling, That could be doing your artwork that you want to work on, writing down a list of goals. If you can get those 3 pieces in, something for the physical part, something for your overall health, and something for your mind, that's a good place to start. And those are going to grow, right? So maybe when you first get started on your routine, I do a 15-minute walk every day. And then 30 days later, that 15-minute walk turns into a 30-minute walk. Later on, that turns into, when we can, I'm going to a fitness class, or I'm getting a trainer, or I'm using an app and doing workouts that way. Maybe the health piece grows from the first 30 days, I'm just staying hydrated. And then after that, I'm now trying to try this nutrition program. Not a diet. I don't push diets, but finding a nutrition program that works for you, where you're getting in everything that you need to be satisfied. And then maybe the mindset piece grows from writing down, 3 sentences a day in your journal to now I journal for 15 minutes, or I'm following different prompts, or you set aside time to work on your artwork. So as long as you can get in some way the physical part, the part for your overall health, and the part for your mind in, that's a good place to start. And maybe you even start with just one of the 3 at first, and then you bring in the next one, and then you bring in the next one again, because we have to make sure we don't overwhelm ourselves to the point where you're not hitting the targets, and then you're down on yourself, like, oh, I didn't work out, I didn't drink water, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Again, go back to like in 12-step programs, they call it the buckets, basically, or the ethics. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss, but like,
no,
they call it getting a case of that. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid also the burnout. We want to avoid where it's not rewarding. It's, if you start off day 1 and it's like walk 15 minutes and you do that, then it's like, okay, I check that off. When you're ready to add something else to your list to check off, then, give it 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever it is. But get in something physical, get in something that's going to be beneficial to your health, and get in something that's going to be beneficial to your mind. And for me, that's leading you right down to, a long-term path of wellness, because you can add things to that list over time.
Yeah. And are we talking about like getting up every day and kind of planning your day out, or I don't know, planning out your activities by week or month? Like logistically, how does that look?
So it depends on your personality when it comes to that. Like, I'm a Virgo, I'm a double Virgo sun and Virgo rising. So for I love a good planner and a list and checking, planning things like in advance. Some people, that's not for them. It might be waking up and jotting down like 3 things you want to do. Some people, it might be before I go to bed, I write down a couple things I want to do the next day. For other people, it might be for the next 30 days, I am walking for 15 minutes a day. And that's just what their goal is. And that's their one thing they check off, and everything else kind of falls into place after that. I do think it's important to project a goal, to set, your intention, but I also know that it's going to be different for each person, what that looks like for you. So if you need to do it as a 30-day thing, awesome. If you're more of the person that's, again, before bed, I'm going to write it down, doing these 3 things tomorrow. You have to figure out which one works for you. But I definitely encourage that you either write it down or put it in your phone or set an alarm, something like that, so it's in a solid, like, visual place where you can see it or be reminded about it.
Yeah. And with your clients, I mean, I'm guessing that you help clients with like a wide of range of problems, and each client is different. But yeah, I guess generally, like what do you kind of do with your clients? Like, what is the program that you kind of put them through?
So most of my clients are coming for nutrition coaching, and that expands into the whole lifestyle. So people come and what they think that, or not what they think, but what they initially come to hire me for is that, okay, she's going to give me a meal. I want to lose weight, right? So they come and I want to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, awesome. You want to lose weight? And I'm like, why? And they're like, what do you mean why? Because I want to look better. They give me whatever all their reasons are. And based on their why and going a little bit further, into questioning. So first we start with a 30-minute consultation that's literally just talking about your your experience with nutrition, your experience with fitness, just your experience with exercising, working with a coach, and why is it something that you want to, why are you interested in it? And then from there, I teach nutrition versus handing you a meal plan and saying, here, you're going to eat these things on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, eat this. So we go over what your custom macros are, which, how much protein, fat, and carbs do you need each day just to sustain. I teach people how to understand, like, what does your body need just at the base level if you're not exercising? What do you, how to make room for things like desserts, and how to make room for pizza, how to make room for, real life food. And week by week, we build a custom nutrition plan. So I have no two people that are following the exact same plan. Everything is individualized. And how it expands into the lifestyle is because a lot of things come up in that, where people realize that maybe they're using food for coping, or they realize that they actually don't mind being the weight they are. They really just were feeling kind of tired and sluggish, but once they changed a few things about their nutrition, then they felt great. And I usually look at 30, 60, or 90-day goals. So what is it that you want to accomplish in the next 30 days? What is it in, 60 days and 90 days? And when we break it down like that, then it's not a crash diet and people expecting to lose 25 pounds in 30 days. And it usually, more often than not, transitions from weight loss into, I just want to feel better. I just want to feel better. I want to look better. I want to feel good. I want to have energy. And so we build a plan that gets them to that ultimate goal. I have a lot of homework that I give. So in my background, right out of college, I went right into teaching training certifications and right into teaching people how to become trainers. And I love the classroom. I love teaching. That's one of the reasons for me that it's so important to make nutrition something that people that's easy to digest. Taking the science that I know and helping just the average everyday person make that real for them. Because food is, we can't survive without food. Like that we do know. If you don't eat, then you're not going to be around for very long. So I really like to make it real for people and long-term sustainable, so that, and I tell people this, they think it's crazy. I'm like, I don't want to work with you for 6 months. That's not my goal. My goal is that you take this as a course, a semester, maybe 4 months at the longest. And then you graduate and you are confident in making good choices for yourself and knowing, again, I can have pizza, I can have pasta. I don't have to never have rice again, never have tortillas again, never have all of these, if that's what you want, I'll teach you. But more often than not, people realize that cutting out whole entire food groups that's not the only solution. With the exception of people who want to be vegan, awesome. I support that. But I take what your goal is and I help you make it come to life.
Yeah, and I think that definitely is one of the strengths of coaching, right? Because, for example, in when we're talking about weight loss, there's so many products out there, right? And so many programs and miracle smoothies. I don't know.
Yes, miracle smoothies, teas.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it seems to me that it would be more effective for eventually the client to create their own solutions, to say this is what's going to work for me. I know this will work for my body given what I've done the last month.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you brought something up that was interesting, that it has to also kind of be fun. There has to be pleasure that's gained from it. Right. Or else you're just going to probably just go back to the thing that was maybe bad for you, but pleasurable. I don't know. I was forming a question, but I'm not completely there. I guess, I don't know. Are there any tips that you could give for if you're in a moment that you're feeling a craving, what can you kind of do in that moment to immediately get away from it?
So food-wise is a little different when it comes to cravings. It depends on where you are. We have a new form that I actually just gave out because it just came out 2 weeks ago. My coaching certification is through a company called Precision. And Precision is registered dietitian based and backed. It's very inclusive. It's not a crash diet kind of thing. It's very much from the psychology side of food. So when it comes to cravings, if it's, you know, a salty thing or a sugary thing, usually I have a few ways. Ask the person to take a minute or two before you dive into whatever it is and indulge in the chips or the soda or the whatever it is. Take 2 minutes, you know, 1 to 2 minutes. If you're out and about, pull your phone out and just write down like, okay, what do I really want right now? Am I bored? Am I actually thirsty? How am I going to feel if I actually do buy these Doritos? And it sounds crazy, like who's going to stop and do that? But if you just make that commitment, like before I grab the Slurpee, I'm going to stop for a minute and think like, okay, how am I going to feel? Do I actually want this right now? And am I just bored? And did I just see it and it's just right there in front of me? And after you do that little quick exercise, if you still feel like you want it, then go for it and enjoy it. And promise that you're not going to then give yourself a guilt trip afterwards.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do is get the best version of it that's available. So I say when it comes to sweets, be bougie with your desserts. Like if you're like, you know what, I want a cupcake right now. Like, don't go get a Twinkie. Don't get a Hostess. Go to Susie Cakes. Go to, you know, Sprinkles. Go wherever and go get a really good quality cupcake and enjoy it. Because one, now you got to get in your car, go, you know, wherever it is you're going to go. You had that 1 or 2 minutes. Like, do I really want that? No, let me just have some water and see. Maybe later I'll have it. Or, you know what, after I do my walk, if I still feel like having that, then I'm going to have it. But pick the highest quality of it. Instead of getting Lay's, get the kettle chips or, you know, things like that. But don't be afraid of cravings. That goes back. It's not about fearing them. It's about being mindful. Okay, I'm feeling like I want this thing. Do I really want it? Or is that just, you know, is that my mind telling me that I want that thing? And when we approach food that way, instead of I don't use the terminology good food and bad food. Say all food is good. It's all good. If you have it, that's great. When you don't have any food, that's when it's not, you know, it's not good. But just being more open and not being so restrictive on ourselves and afraid to have things. I love churros. It's partly because I'm pregnant and that's what my baby wants. I blame it on the baby. But instead of going to Taco Bell and getting like their churros, we hit the streets. I find me the churro lady and I'm like, who's frying up the hottest, freshest churros? Those are the ones I'm getting. And I've been much more mindful. My doctor was like, Keel, you can't have churros every day. Like you're going a little overboard. And just like, I'll do it, you know, on a Friday or whatever it is. But that goes back to the person making their program. I had a client who, she messaged me and she's like, Keola, I just have to tell you, I had a cheeseburger today. And I was like, oh girl, me too. Like what are the chances? And she's like, wait, you're not mad? And I'm like, why would I be mad about it? She's like, well, it's a cheeseburger. It's not healthy. And I said, well, what makes you think it's not healthy? You know, it's a burger. How can that be healthy? I said, what's on the burger? The bun, there's your carb. The meat, there's your protein. The avocado and the bacon, there's your fat. You got all the macros there. Did you log it? Okay. So do you have more calories and macros left for your day? Yeah. Okay. So what's the problem? So, you know, teaching people, going back to that macro part where you learn how many calories, protein, grams of fat you need each day, that is where you start to understand like, oh, okay, I can have this. And, you know, if I choose to have the cupcake, then I probably won't have pizza later on that day. I'll have this instead. So don't be afraid of cravings. Be mindful of them. And that way you can navigate them. Like you sit back and you think like, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I really want to have right now? And if it is, after a few minutes of contemplating, then go for it.
Yeah. And I think that connects so well to recovery specifically, the importance of not necessarily avoiding, because I don't like the word avoiding. But, you know, doing whatever is possible to prevent feelings of shame, feelings of self-loathing, wherever they might come. There's so many sources of that because those negative emotions often lead to bad things, to relapse, to just going into bad places. So I think Yeah, really interesting. I mean, I feel like all these things are kind of like connected, and yeah, I don't know if I
Yeah.
have a question. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, what you said about how it connects to recovery, it's not about even avoiding triggers. It is being aware of them. Being aware versus avoiding, because that's what, like, I totally agree with you, because it's like, don't go that way, don't go down that road, don't turn left. Like my dad always said, just keep your head on a swivel. So if I'm keeping my head on a swivel, then I know what's around me, I see what's around me, and I'm like, I probably don't want to go that way. I'm going to go this way instead. Not so much that I have to feel like, I'm avoiding that way. It's making the conscious decision, which I think is more empowering. The awareness part that's an empowering word. Avoiding is a disempowering word. Like, I can't go that way. So yeah, I totally agree with how all of these things apply to recovery. I say everybody needs to recover from something. Everybody is recovering from different, if it's not a substance, it might be your childhood. If it's not your childhood, it might have been a shady boss that you had. If it's not that, it's an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. Just being in America, it's traumatic just living in the United States in general. You know what I'm saying? It could be a race thing. People of color, we're recovering from just being brown. You know what I'm saying? So people need, if we could take everybody through a little 12-step recovery program, I think the whole world would be so much better. Just to get people to look at their stuff and realize, like, oh my gosh, I'm on edge all the time, or I'm always, over analyzing things, or I have codependency, whatever it is. So yeah, we all need to be more aware and be empowered by being aware of what's going on around us and aware of, like, our stuff that we need to work on.
Yeah, and it really seems to me that health and wellness, having a good plan, strategy, can just have major benefits in all parts of life. And can really be it can really be a tool to fight addiction and a tool for recovery. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
So, how do we get in touch with you? If you wanted to take a minute to share your social media info, your website.
Definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at Keola Rains. It's KIOLA RAINES. My website is the same thing, keolarains.com. I love questions. I love connecting. I'm a teacher at heart. So if you DM me a question, if I don't send you a paragraph, I'll send you a voice message back, because it's easier to get to people that way. On Wednesdays, I do a live stream with one of my siblings or parents or some family member. It's called When It Rains, talking about recovery, family healing, generational trauma. Sometimes we just talk it up and have a good time, but this week in particular, we're talking about recovering from codependency. So that is me.